Welcome to the show, everybody, and I'm here again with Kelly Shovelin, our highly experienced special guest and estate planning attorney based out of Wilmington, North Carolina. And today, in light of COVID-19, we're talking about how to make sure the money you leave your children doesn't get lost through a few unfortunate mishaps. Good to have you on, Kelly.
Thank you, Grant. Great to be here.
Now, before we get started, if you've got any kind of estate planning question or urgent problem that needs resolving, if you go to Protect My Money in WLM.com, that's Protect My Money in WLM.com, you'll get some free assessments, some immediate next steps, and hopefully some peace of mind. Now, to get into it, let's just talk about this thing we were talking about before the show, where people, through all the love in the world, unknowingly create a situation that puts the money they leave their kids at risk.
Absolutely. Most clients essentially are looking toward leaving a legacy and inheritance behind. What they don't realize is that essentially they've been custodians of that inheritance, and when they leave it to their children or their loved ones, it's not only bestowing a responsibility upon their loved ones to take proper care of that inheritance, but it also is potentially bringing up some liability in the future, may not even be considered.
Yeah, and it depends who you're leaving it to. Some people are better with money than others. Some understand it better than others. So, for example, we talked about this on another episode. If you've just got a will, firstly, all of that's going to have to go through probate, which you want to avoid. And if any of our listeners want to listen to that episode, they can. But what we're talking about is the risk it's creating in your children's life. I mean, you said to me that the rich never own anything, and there's a reason for that, right?
Of course. I mean, if you don't own anything, no one can take it away from you. So,
Yeah, exactly. And, prior sort of to the our session today, we were sort of talking about what people are leaving to their loved ones, not how to leave the inheritance to them. So you were talking to me about this thing called a treasure chest structure that you've designed. So explain that to our listeners.
Sure. I mean, basically with the treasure chest, instead of leaving, the inheritance outright to your loved one, where, they put it in their pocket and they're carrying on down the road and anyone can take it from them at any point in time, instead, you're leaving their inheritance in a treasure chest locked up.
So you're giving them the key to the treasure chest, right?
Sure. Absolutely. They can have the key if you think that they're trusted and, financially responsible. Or if they're not, but you still want to make sure that there is an inheritance left to them, you can give the key to someone who you think is more fiscally responsible and better able to manage that money for the benefit of your loved one.
All right. So let's get into talking about some of the benefits of this kind of structure. So, I mean, that's pretty high level, but you were talking about asset protection. So talk about some of the situations it could protect against.
Sure. Even the best of children, the best of individuals will run into problems at some point in their lives, more than likely. Some people may have poor spending habits. Some may be manipulated by an overbearing spouse saying, we could use your inheritance to fix up this or that, or buy me a new car, when really, you intend for that money to be left for your loved one, not for other people to take advantage of your loved one and that inheritance.
So, for example, if they've got a business and you've left them a lot of money in their name and that business deal goes awry, that could be exposed, right?
Absolutely. I mean, again, that exactly goes back to why the rich people don't own anything themselves. I mean, they are entering business ventures all the time, and they want to make sure that the inheritance that they have built up.
It's separate. Yeah. And in terms of the children getting divorced in the future, let's just talk about that, because obviously the divorce rate is, I think it's over 50%. So unfortunately that might happen. And again, just talk to our listeners about that kind of scenario.
Sure. You leave your inheritance or your child's inheritance outright to them. More than likely, if they're married, it's going into a joint bank account. It's family money because they're a family. But as soon as the marriage starts going awry and there's a divorce on the future, that is family money.
Doesn't need to be a joint bank account, does it? It could go into that person's individual bank account, but it's going to be exposed come time of the divorce.
It very well could. I mean, there are different laws in different states, but that is certainly a possibility. Whereas, if, take advantage of leaving things in a treasure chest, you're protecting against that regardless of where someone lives or the laws that may apply.
Yeah. And just talk to us a bit about grandchildren and how you can organize this. Well, I know you design this for your clients, but how you organize this treasure chest structure so grandchildren benefit as well.
Yeah, essentially, again, oftentimes my clients are looking to leave their inheritance to their loved ones, their grandchildren. Oftentimes my clients love their son-in-laws and daughters-in-law, but they have family of their own. Many of my clients are looking to leave their inheritance to their own bloodline, their own lineage. By utilizing a treasure chest, if your child were to get divorced or pass away before all of the inheritance was used, you can guarantee that that money actually will transfer on to your grandchildren instead of going to other family members or non-family members.
Yeah. All right. So, and in terms of just summing up, what would you really say to our listeners about the options that they have open to them? Because I don't think people really understand the amount of options they have open to them. They don't have to be ridiculously rich to access this kind of structure. So just sum up for our listeners what they really need to know and what's important.
I think what's most important is that you've worked hard your entire life to leave a legacy and inheritance to your children and your family, and don't leave it for others to potentially take advantage of and for your heirs to essentially lose. Instead, there are very tangible planning techniques such as the treasure chest that can help ensure that your hard-earned money is saved and provides an inheritance for your loved ones for at least one generation, if not multiple generations to follow.
Yeah, great advice. Listen, Kelly, look, thank you very much. And for everybody listening, if you would like to speak to Kelly or you've got more questions even, if you go to Protect My Money in WLM.com, that's Protect My Money in WLM.com, you'll get a free assessment, some immediate next steps, and hopefully peace of mind. Kelly, thanks again.
Thank you, Grant. Pleasure.
All right, we'll speak soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Protect Your Family and Money Show. If you'd like to contact our featured guest, just go to www.protectmymoneyinwlm.com and you'll be able to get a free assessment, some immediate next steps, and above all, peace of mind. Oh, and if you know someone that needs help, then just tell them to get in touch. The Protect Your Family and Money Show, helping hardworking Americans keep their family and money safe. The views expressed by the participants are their own and are not endorsed by the show. Nothing said in this podcast is legal advice for you.